Julie Lerner, and she is going to be talking about carbon sequestration in agriculture. Julie is the founder and CEO of PanExchange, a patented web-based trading platform specializing in regional and international physical commodities. She's an experienced commodity trader, having worked for Cargill, Fibro, Sempra energy trading company. She's been named to the inaugural classes of Forbes 50 over 50 and the Denver Business Journal's Outstanding CEOs in Colorado. Julie is also on the JP Morgan Commodity Center Advisory Board and the University of Colorado, and frequently speaks on evolution of commodity markets. Julie.
Short people level there. Got it. There's the button. Okay, so thank you, David, and Peter. Thank you for inviting me to speak here. As he mentioned, I am speaking about voluntary carbon markets, specifically agricultural credits, starting with soil, because that's the one that's ready for the market today. Here we go. I do think my background is relevant for this conversation. I was the senior Latin American trader for Cargill in sugar markets, moved over to Sempra Energy Trading when electricity was deregulated, and was hired by XL Financial to build their agricultural weather derivative business. So combining my passion with commodity market trading and new developments and products that can help move this often antiquated sector of the industry a little forward, a little more efficient and profitable. PanExchange is not new. We stand up new commodity markets, new physical commodity markets. Pilot launch was in world market sugar. Our first live launch was a pilot in Kenya for corn and wheat that later expanded to 3 different countries and over 30 different types of grains and beans. Today, we are the leading benchmark price provider and the only institutional grade trading platform in the US hemp market. US hemp is relevant for a couple of reasons. One, I'll show you in a minute, but also because it helped us deal with the gold rush, which is exactly what we're in right now with carbon as well. Okay, preaching to the choir in this room, but this is about the commitments for becoming carbon neutral, and you can see demand is going to skyrocket up to 1.5 billion tons of carbon. As someone who's stood up markets before successfully and unsuccessfully, I can tell you that there's nothing stronger than a demand-driven market. That's key for us. Oh, one thing too, sorry, I need notes. Commodity traders have ADD. Unfortunately, I saw this report right after I submitted the prezo to Peter, but Wood Mackenzie has an article that just came out. Nature-based transactions tripled from 20 to 21. And the reason for the surge in demand is because the energy sector is the largest buyer of offsets. Renewables once dominated this demand, but they're now considered lower quality because they avoid instead of remove emissions. So again, super bullish for agricultural carbon credits. Oh, how do you go back? Here it is. Okay. But we've got some problems, guys. So this is an enormous opportunity. Nature-based solutions are one of the most scalable opportunities. In the US alone, over 900 million acres. That's over potential of over 1 billion credits just in the soil. That's not even looking at the plant-based materials and all of these other opportunities as well. Surprisingly, only 85,000 farmers, or 160 million of those acres, are already working with the USDA getting subsidies for conservation practices. That doesn't seem like a lot. And as we'll see in the next couple slides, there's not enough incentive for them. Trading credits, it's opaque, it's fragmented, it's high brokerage commissions, but I'm so not done with the challenges that we have in agriculture. There's a lack of standards, a lack of transparency and liquidity because there's no open centralized marketplace for credits. and there's no sufficient audit trail. Until we can get those things addressed, we will not have a derivative contract that serves as a proper price hedge for agricultural based credits. And we really need that for hedging, for insurance, for liquidity. So that's one place that we absolutely have to get to. We can come back to this if anyone has any questions, but this is a crash course in how one gets an agricultural carbon credit. So getting credits in agriculture is science, but it is not rocket science. The trickiest thing that we have here, it's all about the permanence. It's an issue that really, really needs to be addressed. 100 years is an eternity. You're asking a farmer to commit to never tilling his soil for 100 years. That's not going to work. Vera has a 10-year proxy to demonstrate permanence. Ours is 5 years. And even still, we've got challenges with that because traditionally landowners will lease their land in increments of 3 years. So, okay, more problems. So there are different ways farmers can get remunerated by the different programs. Sorry about the title. You can see I plucked this from our investor deck. But it also comes out of an article that's free on our website. It's called the Farmer Rancher Checklist. We want our clients to be educated about what they're getting because there are very, very different types of programs here. So for example, like Bayer has a program where they just give you, I want to say allowance, but my guys tell me not to use that word, like a stipend every year. If you don't till your soil this year, we'll give you 20 cents an acre. If you do a crop nutrition program or cover crops, we'll give you 15 cents an acre. And if you do it next year, we give it to you again. And if you don't do it next year, you just don't get any money. As a farmer friend of mine in Kansas said, you know, it's nice pocket change. You sure as heck won't get rich off it. And the other thing is you do not see those carbon credits. And then we have a couple of different ways where Corteva and Indigo, they'll guarantee your first year, the minimum price guarantee they'll give you. If you read Indigo's fine print, you do not own those credits. PanExchange is quite different in 3 ways. We are trying to keep the costs of pursuing a carbon credit as low as possible and make it as easy as possible. We allow forward selling so these landowners can start getting their money out in the first year. And the last thing, then the most important thing that we offer is 100% ownership of that credit. It's your land. You should own that credit. We take our money from the buy side of this market. So I love calling out the elephant in the room on what's going on in carbon. Wall Street Journal covered this, but I like this article a little better. This is from a site called AgFunder. It's a 5th generation farmer canvassed 50 other farmers around the United States in several different crop areas. And he found that only 10% of that 900 million acres is not tilling. Stopping tilling is the most dramatic and instant way that you can start sequestering more carbon in the soil. So massive opportunity on that front. And one of the biggest reasons is that he's showing that farmers are only seeing an increase in income per acre by 1 to 1.5%. You do not need to be a farmer to know that that is not worth the risk when you're asking me to permanently change my practices to show additional carbon sequestered. So that is a massive problem there. One of the reasons is that Vera, for example, is soil testing. There are remote sensing technologies that are perfectly acceptable and should be incorporated today for that. But the real big issue are these last 2. These guys, the farmers think it's all smoke and mirrors. They're getting their doors beaten down by Silicon Valley software guys and crypto guys, and none of them understand the opportunities and challenges of a farmer. That's a really big deal. When you put it all together, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get beat up on this, but there you have it. when you put it all together, what really changes in our model, this is only 2,500 acres. What really changes is the ownership of the credits and the fact that you could see 12.5% forward sales of ours. I'd like to draw your attention to the far right. If you can see revenue per acre, traditional COPS is 133, almost $134. So that's 17% increase in revenue per acre over the 5 years. Here's a little fun fact. If you take 20% of that, and that's just grains, by the way, that $134. If you take 20% of that land and put it into a carbon-friendly crop like hemp, look at the dramatic difference to the, from the one to the other. Sorry, I think I skipped a line there. The revenue impact is dramatic, okay? So something to think about. And this is just for carbon. This is not for the actual commodity prices. So also just to let you know, this market is so opaque, but if anyone's interested here, the things that are affecting the price, of course, are the methodology, the permanence issues, and the geopolitical issues of where one is earning a credit. We know that Truterra predicts they're at $20 a ton first year. They think it's going to go to $30 a ton by next year. Indigo's reporting $45 a ton. Nori, we hear, don't shoot the messenger, can't confirm. We hear Nori is at $20 or below. And I think one of the reasons is lack of third-party verification. So again, methodology matters on these things. So what is the solution here? Well, we have to focus on things that work for the farmer. Davos Schmavos, if you don't know a farmer, you need to go meet a farmer and you need to talk about their farm economics, because that is our inventory, people. And if we can't get that inventory, none of this is going to happen. And I think the difficulty of getting solutions that work for farmers is grossly underestimated in this market. We absolutely need to move towards internationally accepted standards and regulations, not just that meets the buyer's need, but also, again, financially viable for the farmer. I don't want to oversell our program, but I do want to just emphasize that our trading platform is moving to a distributed ledger technology, in part because we do want to have that forward selling and we want to build liquidity. Yes, we're helping landowners get soil organic carbon credits, but our platform will focus on all nature-based solutions, any methodology, any geography, any type of nature solution. So I mean, forestry credits anywhere in the world, Verra methodology, doesn't matter. Our focus is on building liquidity. That is all I have. So, thank you.
Questions?
Hi, I was formerly involved in launching a regenerative organic row crop farmland fund.
Mhm.
And a while ago, when soil carbon wasn't a commercial opportunity yet. My question is, in some of your numbers for the incremental revenue going to no-till, does that take into account also profit per acre? Because one of the issues with doing no-till, if you're not growing organic, is you have to use a ton more pesticide to kill weeds because you're not tilling the soil. And depending upon natural gas prices and petrochemical prices, those pesticides are fairly costly. And there's also an environmental impact too. People think they're buying non-GMO food when in fact it's just loaded with pesticide actually, because if you're using no-till. So that was one question. Does it take into account some additional farming inputs required to do the no-till to get the carbon? That's one thing. And you'd also mentioned that farmers are not thrilled by the economics they're getting from indigo and nori and whatnot. I've heard the very same thing. And they think it's just a lot of mumbo jumbo, but where I think there's a huge opportunity though, I noticed that one of the sectors that you focus on is in specialty crops and regenerative ways to do organic row crop farming. So it's, producing organic grain, uses no-till, and they really need it for their production process to generate the kind of soil productivity they need to use because they can't use petrochemical inputs. And in my view, that would be a great sector to go after, which is growing. It's still probably less than 5% of all row crop land, but that's still a big number. If you focus on the right areas, that's going to be farmers who are already going to be doing those things and can pay for it.
Sorry, you're saying focus, what about the petrochem? I missed that.
Well, the economics from carbon have to make it worth the farmer's while, given
Right.
the restrictions they have to put on the land. And one of those would be also, generally speaking, when you can't do tillage and you're growing conventional crops, you need to use a lot more pesticide.
Yeah. So, and how much is really where you live, right? And thank you for bringing that up, because again, as far as like walking in the door and trying to sell a carbon credit program, this is why you need to really understand farming and how it works, because the reality is you have a yield loss when you stop tilling. And today, that's really hard to tell people not to till, even though you'll have a year loss. We're at record high commodity prices today. Every single bushel of wheat matters. And it actually gets worse in year 3 and 4, and then it gets much, much better. Right. But so again, we really need to show we need to have integrity. We need to show these farmers, trust me, it's worth it. Because again, 5 years is a long sell, So you're going to have it. Not only am I asking you for money, but your yield's going to drop during one of the highest, land price and commodity price eras that we're in. But trust me, it'll all be worth it in the long run. But it will, because they need to start looking at soil as an asset class. And that's kind of the mindset shift.
Another question? I'm invested in a company that they make biofuels, renewable diesel, but their big asset is camelina as a cover crop, and they were trying to turn farmers on. Would you guys advise farmers on maybe potential cover crops where they could get maybe some soil carbon, but also sell it to biorefineries, which would probably get them a little bit more than 5 cents an acre?
Yeah, we do that. So, I mean, before someone starts a program with us, first of all, we're like, you have to show additionality in the voluntary market. What are you doing today that you weren't doing tomorrow, and why, and how much carbon is that going to sequester additionally? No tilling is the best way. Cover crop is another very dramatic way to do that. If you can sell your cover crop, you're winning. You're winning. Yeah.
One more question.
Yeah, that's going to be a naive question, because I know nothing about farming and I know nothing about soil carbon credits, but I know, as you said, that permanency is a key issue. I don't understand how it's addressed.
Thank you
the
for
market.
asking about that. It's a problem, and we need to get real about it. I mean, so permanent is supposed to mean what it says, completely permanent. In forestry, it's 100 years, and they're saying it's going to be the same thing in agriculture. That is not viable. I really appreciate that question. We need internationally recognized standards that in agriculture, you're never going to get 100, because, oh, by the way, fire, flood, it's not just, human decisions that are going to release that carbon into the air. So it's kind of a thing that no one really talks about too much now. But look, what we're trying to do is, we don't know if this is going to help lower the world's temperatures, but we have to try, right? And we have to start somewhere. Yeah. No, I think it is absolute. At worst, we're slowing the release of carbon in the atmosphere. At best, we're doing it right. So.
Great. Well,